Ancient Egypt no longer exists, but the evidence of its existence is ever present in our memories. Archaeologists are always unearthing hidden and terrifying artifacts that no one is supposed to see. I guess that's why they were buried away. In this video, you'll see those discoveries you never would have thought about. These are terrifying discoveries, but let's learn about them. In 1922, while exploration was going on by scientists at the Theban necropolis in the Valley of Kings, something unexpected was discovered. Do you wonder what the discovery was? Let's journey into ancient times, many centuries before you were ever born. The sudden discovery was a tomb that belonged to one of the ancient pharaohs of Egypt. When they discovered the tomb in 1922, it wasn't opened until 1923. After the tomb became accessible in 1922, another thing that was found was the heavy sarcophagus that contained Tutankhamun's mummy. On October 28, 1925, the interior of the tomb was opened, revealing a wonder that had been in existence for about 3,250 years. The 18th dynasty ancient pharaoh, Tutankhamun, who reigned in 1334 to 1325 BC, had a precious golden mask that he used in his days. Who would have believed that the age-long mask would still be found after several thousand years? But in 1925, the golden mask was unearthed by Howard Carter while he was excavating a tomb in the Valley of the Kings. In December 1925, the mask was taken out of the tomb and put in a crate, after which it was taken to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The golden mask became a unique mask and has been on public display in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo since then. Of course, the ancient Egyptians were known for their unique artistry, so it wasn't a surprise to classify the golden mask among the best-known works of art in the world. Not only does this golden mask stand as a wonder to the entire world, but it is also a prominent symbol of ancient Egypt. The golden mask was made in the likeness of the Egyptian god of the afterlife, Osiris. Speaking of its height, the mask is 54 centimeters tall and weighs over 10 kilograms. The mask is decorated with semi-precious stones. It also has on its shoulders a hieroglyphic inscription of an ancient spell from the Book of the Dead. In 2015, the plated beard on the mask fell off but was immediately fixed by the museum workers. The mask is both a classic object recovered from Tutankhamun's tomb and a renowned object from ancient Egypt. Ever since 2001, there have been several suggestions about the mask, but the prevailing suggestion by some Egyptologists was that the mask was possibly made for Queen Nefertiti. It was believed that the pierced ears could have meant that the mask was made for a female pharaoh, which was assumed to be Nefereferaten. The names headcloth, the collar, and the ears of the mask seem to be made for Nefereferaten, but the face, which was made as a separate piece of metal and matches other portrayals of Tutankhamun's, made it difficult to believe that it was made for Nefertiti. It is a limestone statue of a reclining sphinx, a mythical creature with a human head and a lion's body. That's the description of the Great Sphinx of Giza. It has an amazing orientation as it faces east directly from the west. You can have your trip to the west bank of the Nile in Giza on the Giza Plateau. The human head that the Sphinx carries has a facial appearance like the image of the pharaoh Khafre. The shape of the Sphinx was initially cut from the bedrock, but has now been restored with layers of limestone blocks. The Sphinx is about 240 feet long from paw to tail and 66 feet tall from the base to the top of the head. The width of its haunches was measured at 62 feet. One of the most famous statues in the world and the oldest known monumental sculpture in Egypt is the Great Sphinx of Giza. It was believed to have been constructed as far back as 2558 or 2532 BC by the ancient Egyptians of the Old Kingdom during the reign of Khafre. The Great Sphinx of Giza remained in its location peacefully until between the 3rd and 10th centuries AD, when the nose broke off from the body entirely. What broke the nose of the Sphinx remains a mystery to this day. While an inspection was being conducted on the broken area of the Sphinx, it was then discovered that the nose area could have been chiseled. The area around the bridge of the nose and under the nostril was believed to have been chiseled and then poke out towards the south, leaving behind the 1 meter wide nose that was never found again to date. This could have been done intentionally by someone or a group of people between the 3rd and 10th century AD. While the cause of the broken nose remains unknown, several legends emerge that explain the cause of the broken nose. Some people assume that the nose was broken by the cannonballs fired by the army of Napoleon Bonaparte, while others believe that the broken nose was the result of Mamluks. Among the several continuous speculations on the broken nose was the 10th century belief that it was broken as a result of an iconoclastic attack at the site. Almost all the generations gave their explanation for the cause of the broken nose. Egypt is full of several archaeological discoveries from ancient times, one of which was the great discovery of a slab of granitoid stone that had on it written decree issued in 196 BC by an Egyptian clergyman and Egypt's ruler, Ptolemy V. This was one of the revelations about Ptolemy V as a philanthropic and committed man. 3 methods of writing were used. The first is the hieroglyphic writing used mainly by priests. The second is demetic writing, which is, in a way, more understandable because it was used for their daily purposes. And the last of all was the Greek writings. The use of hieroglyphic writings went extinct in the 4th century, while scholars regard it as enigmatic writing. The only way to preserve the hieroglyphic writings that have gone into extinction in Egypt to date was only on the Rosetta Stone. About 2,000 years after the construction of the Rosetta Stone, in the 19th century, the slab was discovered by some of Napoleon Bonaparte's Egypt campaign when they were repairing a fort that was very close to the town of Reshaped, the Rosetta. The Rosetta Stone was initially placed in a temple close to the ancient town of Sais. After some centuries, it was taken to Rosetta and used in the construction of Fort Julian. It was later discovered by the French, but became the property of the British after they defeated the French in Egypt in 1801. There was an attempt to decode it by a British scientist, Thomas Young. He stated that the hieroglyphs enclosed in ovals consisted of the phonetic spellings of royal names. Ptolemy was also referencing Greek inscriptions among the royal names that were encoded in the hieroglyphs. A gigantic black granite sarcophagus was found in Alexandria and has been left intact for 2,000 years. It was another great discovery from ancient Egypt. One could have thought that the sarcophagus would have in it the remains of the ancient Macedonian leader Alexander the Great, or a deadly curse, but those weren't found in the granite sarcophagus. The sarcophagus had housed 3 skeletons for 2,000 years. Together with these skeletons is the reddish-brown sewage water that was very stinky. Before the smell pursued the archaeologists working on the excavation site, they had raised the lid used in covering the tomb to about 5 centimeters. The artifacts were later removed from the site. The skeletons found in this tomb looked like they were part of a family burial done in ancient times. The largest obelisk ever known is the Unfinished Obelisk, which was found in the northern area of the stone quarries of ancient Egypt in Aswan. In 1508 to 1458 BC, Hatshepsut commanded the construction of this obelisk, which was assumed to become a complement of the present Lateran obelisk. Though this obelisk wasn't completed, it was almost 1/3 larger than any ancient obelisk erected in Egypt. It would have been about 42 meters and almost 1,000 tons, which is equivalent to the weight of 200 African elephants. The obelisk was carved directly out of bedrock, but the construction was abandoned because the granite was beginning to crack. But to date, the obelisk still has its base attached to the bedrock. The Unfinished Obelisk was more of a revelation of ancient Egyptian artwork made with stones other than the usual clayworks. The impact of the tools used during the construction is still very visible to this day. Among the several other discoveries are the rock carvings and remains that are similar to the site where many of the popular obelisks were made. The Egyptian government has designated the quarries in Aswan as archaeological sites and has started protecting them. The unfinished objects are left in an open-air museum in Egypt to date. These discoveries show that the people who lived in ancient Egypt were ahead of their time. Without a doubt, they deserve the title, the motherland of the world. Let us know what you think of these discoveries in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed these creepy discoveries found in ancient Egypt, then be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications to be updated on our latest videos.